Holy shit.
HG Holden and Ford Barra. Does it actually fit? Kinda is the answer. Today we do a bit of a build breakdown and I go through every step that I've taken to get this Barra to fit into this HG Holden. I'm Josh, this is Redcliffe Muscle and Custom. Let's get stuck into it. So this is my HG 1971 Holden Kingswood wagon. This thing's gone through a few different generations of builds. Still a rat, but originally had a really smoky 186. Swapped it out for a hot 186, which we then turboed. Sold that, and now we're onto the Barra life for this thing. So I've had this car since I was 17. So it's been a long time. It's been a fun car. Still got some signs of the old days, some Alpine 12-inch subs in the back and a big amp to power them. This car has been off the road for about a year and a half now while I've been getting stuck into this. There's been a fair bit of progress and there's still a lot to do, but it's been a lot of cutting, and I'll go through all these steps today with you. So we might just start at the back and work our way forward. So it's got a custom suited 9-inch custom length. Sorry about all the magpies and lorikeets. There's plenty of birds around my place here. But we've got a 9-inch in the rear, some Convo Pros. They're running a 245 at the moment. I'll probably drop that down to a 235 radial when it's due for some tyres, which should be pretty shortly after it gets started. Moving up to the gearbox, it's got a Transbrake Turbo 400. I have already gone through, that's my third gearbox and the car hasn't even started yet. So we did start with a built BTR, power levels increased, and I ended up going for like a T56 build, 600 kilowatt clutch that I bought, and then ended up selling that because the shifter position was awful for this car and it would have been coming through the seat. So you're thinking about a T56 for this car, you're definitely going to have to look at custom shifter options. You bet if it is a Chev, it is easier because there is easier options. For the Ford motors, it's not as easy to do a shifter conversion on a T56. So keep that in mind. I did end up going to essentially what was the dream, which is a built turbo 400, custom bell housing, you know the deal. So moving up to the front, let's get into it. It's the money shot. So I'll just start this off with just sort of confirming that if you do have a HKTG Holden and you do want to put a Barra in it, which is an awesome idea, I do admit, it isn't just your typical tough mounts kind of mod. There is a fair bit that you do need to make fit. I've gone the way of chopping things and moving them. There's a few different ways to do this. You can actually change go a custom cross member and steering. You can do like what Darren Shelton, Mr. HKTG's done with his, where he's essentially grafted a whole FG, I think it was FG, front clip straight onto his car. So you've got the whole front end and suspension and everything. It's pretty wild. Being honest, that's probably a bit past my wheelhouse at this point in time. So we went the cut and make fit method, which is probably the most common for everybody. I've done a lot of work on this. So as you can see, we've got a custom manifold that I've built. First manifold I've ever built. So I've turbo mounted right up front. Makes it pretty cool with a bit of a lobster tail, compound bend, dump pipe as well. Still haven't welded that. I'm waiting till I can get most of that done and I'll weld it all in one big hit. So first thing we needed to do to actually make it fit was notch the cross member. I'll see if I can get you down there with some light. I'll move the sticky tape here that's covering it up. But If you can see in here, we've notched the cross member a fair bit. From that angle, you can see it. I'll chuck a quick pick up of what it looks like without an engine in it so you can actually see it. While we're down here, we might as well have a bit of a look at these engine mounts. So they are a Turbo Yoda spec using a Triton rear suspension eyelet bushing and just some steam pipe to make it work. They're a nice heavy duty engine mount and they definitely hold the motor super strong. There's not going to be much movement in this motor. It's pretty much solid mounted, but there is bushings in there, so should work pretty good. So like I was saying, you do need to notch the cross member. There is also a body support brace under the front seat. For a Turbo 400, you do need to notch that. You can get away with it with a Turbo 350 apparently. It just depends on how the motor's actually mounted as well, all the way down there. But pretty much you're going to count on doing some modifications to that body brace under the front seat. It isn't a major mod. I do believe as long as you just fill it in and make it as strong as it was, the engineers don't have too much of an issue with it. It is pretty common. And a lot of people have butchered that over the years. So don't be surprised if yours looks like a dog's breakfast. You might have to actually fix someone else's work. We move on under the car. Forget the alternator sitting there unbolted, but you've got to move the sway bar down to get some clearance on the harmonic balancer. The way I've got that engine sitting is that it sits right in the groove where the pulley sits. So at least then you've got some space, a bit of clearance. To make it fit, I've just dropped it down a bit, so I've just added a few spaces in here, which has just preloaded that bar a bit further as well. Fits as fits. So the Ford Barra is super tall and is super long. So if you can see here, there's very little clearance. So you're definitely going to need some thin thermo fans to make it fit. Even now, I struggle to get this out with these bolts here. So the radiator support panel still may need to come out anytime I need to remove the radiator. But yeah, so you definitely need some thin, powerful fans to make sure this thing's cool. Moving on to the thermostat housing, I've modified this for and fittings. I'm probably going to modify one back to a barb fitting after looking at the prices of Dash 20 AN fittings. It is extremely expensive, even when your local speed shop hooks you up. So shout out to Phantom for Performance Parts. I may end up going just a rubber top hose and maybe a Dash 16 lower hose just to make it fit. I'd obviously make the water pumps with the Dash 16 fittings on there, so that's not a big drama at all. Moving on to the intake. Battery tray's usually here. It's full of wiring at the moment. And the intake tract for this car goes through here. So there's definitely no room for a battery. That's already been relocated to the boot with the previous turbo setup because we needed it as well. So definitely going to relocate that battery. Moving on to the intercooler, which you're definitely going to need unless you do some sort of water to air setup, which you'll still need something at the front. But not sure if you can see it here, but we've just made some holes in the radiator support panel, bit of support and a little bit of pinch weld to clean it up. Sorry about the birds, they're pretty noisy at the moment. So just make a hole there for that and make sure you support it so your engineer will pass it. So a lot of people just add a bit of extra metal around the edges. So with this intercooler, if you can see, it sits pretty high in the radiator support panel. It's like only sort of a finger's gap there. And when you've got your bonnet latch, it comes down and it was actually hitting on this. So what I've done is I've actually just chopped it and cut and shut it. And I'm not sure if you can actually even see that because of the sun, but I've just chopped a bit out of here and just welded it back together and given it a bit of a grinding so you can't tell. Looks just good as new, but it's actually about an inch shorter than it was. Before we get stuck into the pie cuts, I just wanted to do a quick update on the exhaust. So as you can see here, I've used a bit of mild steel steam pipe. I went mild steel just because I wanted something a bit hardy, something that my welds aren't going to need to matter that much because I am still getting used to welding big dog stainless steel pipes. So I just wanted to go something nice and simple, something strong that's going to handle the heat and the boost. So we've gone just a steam pipe type manifold deal. A couple of runners, a couple of 90s. Still need to add the wastegate. Probably going to look at trying to add it in around here just so we've got really good priority on the wastegate. I always like to just try and put them in the best spot they can just to save any headaches later. You know, it is always worth putting a little bit of thought into your wastegate priority. Trying to get the exhaust down and out through the steering box and everything. There's a fairly decent gap there, but like I said, I just wanted to try and get it out nice and early if we can. So I fab this pie weld. So I fabbed this. So I fabbed up this pie cut dump pipe. I haven't welded it out yet. I do want to finish it off, and I just need to get a few things set, like where the intercooler and everything is in turbo's final position before we make it happen. Because of this spot here, it is hard to sort of get it through. It won't fit through here, and through here it does just fit. So we just want to basically kind of have it sitting there and shoot the gap straight next to the gearbox there. It's going to work. It's going to look pretty awesome when it's finished as well. It's just going to be a lot of welding, but welding practice is always fun. So now that's the Kingswood all sorted. We know where we're up to. Next on the plan is to get the intercooler sorted. So what I've got here is a metre of 3-inch aluminium tube, courtesy of Bend Brothers on the north side of Brisbane. They've got a whole lot of high quality stuff, so I do recommend them. I am not sponsored. That is definitely a legit plug. So I'm going to find the top and the bottom of the tube, draw a big line across the top so we at least know what axis we're working on, and we can make sure that when we're chopping, the angles marry up perfectly so we can get a really good looking pie cut. What I'm going to do is pop this on the bench, find the top and the bottom. Let's get started. Well, hello there. Welcome to my home. I bet you're expecting to see me make some pie cuts. Well, I've got news for you. Since then, we've had a cyclone. Almost cyclone, rather. It was a Category 2 and it was looking at about 160k winds when it was going to hit us dead on. But we got lucky. It downgraded to a tropical low, and the best winds we saw were about 100 k's an hour. So I was also a bit concerned about flooding. Got out of that sweet, no dramas at all. Few little worrying moments where the waters were rising, but again, nothing entered my house, and the cars are all safe, and obviously all my family and community are all safe in that respect. In saying that, that did push the project back a few weeks, and obviously this video, I'm going to pretty much finish it out here. We've done a good review of where we're at for the HG and what you need to do to actually fit a Barra into a HG Holden with a Turbo 400. Now we're on the plumbing and wiring kind of train. The plumbing stuff, I'm halfway through the intercooler. We're going to get onto the radiator plumbing next, and then the exhaust. From there, wiring and everything else we need to do. So make sure you follow me on the socials. I've got Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. Make sure you like and subscribe. That really does help. So yeah, as you can see, I'm a very small channel that's just started. So if you can even just hit that like button, chuck a comment in below,
send me a message if you've got any questions. Check out my website, marslandcustom.com.au. The next cruise night as well is next Saturday. So make sure you come along if you're local. Starts at 5 o'clock. We cruise at 6. Out to Redcliffe, starts at Shorncliffe. So make sure you check it out. The event is absolutely pumping on Facebook at the moment. It's the most numbers I've ever had on a Facebook event. We're looking at about over 1,700 now. I think the best we've ever done was about 1,400 on the Facebook event. And although all those people don't turn up, it is a really good indicator of where we're looking for numbers. Usually I'm looking at about a third. So we're definitely looking at about 500 cars plus. It's going to be massive. Make sure you get out for it. Thanks for watching. Part 2 will be out real soon. I'm Josh. This is Redcliffe Muscle and Custom.